second gear. Ah! Oh, it's a monster. I love it. Worth all the pain. Woo! That was so smooth once you got on it. It's more of this, like this putting at like 5-10% throttle. It's kind of like jerky, but when you give it the beans, she eats. Love it. Stay tuned for more. I think this second throttle body that came in today is controlling idle a lot better. So mid-range, $90 Amazon throttle body for the win. The car's warmed up. I'm gonna go for another quick spin. I guess the headlights do work. They're just extremely dim at night. We'll see what the aftermarket has. Maybe something better. This thing sounds like a boat behind it. Oh yeah, nice big V8 inboard or something. I don't know. It's just that sound, kind of iconic. The check engine came back. It could be for, again, the idle control. Someone online said when you have that kind of cone intake, the computer's not happy. It'll instantly recognize that you're sucking in more air. So eventually I do plan to find like a cool Y-shape adapter or T-shape adapter, and then we're going to utilize the stock air boxes, hopefully with like a more nice intake system, you know, more high performance geared type thing. I guess I'm just so used to the nicer, newer headlights that these older 2006 headlights were kind of like, they seemed like they were broken. But it's just the dim lighting, I presume. Whoop. Guess she's trying to still figure everything out. Drive. We're just gonna putt. The high beams are okay. Yeah. She's like a lot quieter now. She's warmed up. Oh wow, yeah, these lights are bad. You probably can't see anything. Anyway, I'm driving, that's what I'm happy about. She's actually rather quiet right now. She's a beast. Da-da-da-da. Not overheating, up to temp. Although it did heat up really quick. I even got a little bit concerned, like the exhaust manifolds, they like turn red at first. The idle's like okay. Might have a miss, or it just has this kind of shaky cammy feeling to it. All right, let's go. Oh yeah. That's what it's all about, baby. Let's raise the window. That was like 15% throttle. She's gonna whine. Oh, dude, she's gonna eat. It feels like a slightly tattered muscle car, to be more exact. Like slightly beaten on in its previous life. I'm gonna take it easy before I blow anything up. So my next thought is button everything back up, and then I'm gonna go for a drive in the daytime. Although this is not bad because there's no traffic. I would go for a spin and see what all the O2 readings are, just to make sure the car's getting adequate fueling. The temps are okay, but again, there's more to it than just coolant temp, right? There's also an exhaust leak for sure. I know these headers are notorious for exhaust leaks. That's what I've heard. The long tubes on these Mercedes. It's still pretty quiet off throttle, which is good. Yesterday, the idling had me concerned that it's just going to be a loud monster at all times. Definitely needs some fine tuning. I think the rear is like stepping out. It's like flusy. Yeah, I gotta lift up the rear. I haven't even been under there. Next order of operations, lift the rear. See what the diff is looking like, what the trans is looking like. It seems to be going in all the gears correctly, but I'm gonna check the transmission oil level. I like that it still has dipsticks for all those. I honestly kind of want to do a pull, even though I shouldn't. Don't do this at home, as they say, right? She's like a little hesitant. Second gear. Ah! Oh, it's a monster. I love it. Worth all the pain. Woo! That was so smooth once you got on it. All right, so I've been annoying my wife a lot because you work during the day and then you have busy life, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna go work on the AMG a little more. And it's like 8 p.m. but it's dark out, and then you start it and it's 2,000 RPM idle at cold start. And she runs out, she's like, what are you doing? Anyway, I think something that I've noticed, so you saw me rip it around the neighborhood, I think the O2 sensors might be lying or they're bad or something, because at warm up, these headers turn like glowing red. And I would presume that means that it's running like dangerously lean, but the O2 sensors are telling the ECU like, no, you're fine. Because I look at it on the Autel and it's like, oh yeah, you're at 0.9 or at 1 lambda, which is 14.7 or right under 14.7, which is stoic, or like a warm up you're under 14.7. But I don't think that's true. So I ordered 2 Bosch O2 sensors. They should arrive by Friday. And it seems to be intermittent. Like yesterday I had this issue where, you remember my video where this thing caught on fire, the heat shielding. And then I like I reset the ECU by pulling the negative off the battery, waiting a couple minutes, putting it back. Then you put the ignition in the second position. It kind of calibrates the throttle body a bit. And then I started it and they weren't glowing red. Like after I think I started it warm or something. And that's where you see my fun rip in the midnight. So much for fun, huh? And then I took it home, and in the morning today I started it again, and again it's all whack. Like the RPMs are super high, the headers are glowing red, and anytime you throttle it, it just hikes up. So I'm replacing O2 sensors. I have, I guess, a couple choices now of throttle bodies, but they seem to calibrate fine. It's more other things. I am going to pull the throttle body back off. A lot of people clean the secondary bypass little throttle body that actuates in there, probably for a lot of idle control and when you bypass the supercharger. What else did I order? I ordered like a small trim piece. The previous owner had some kind of Zeatronics aftermarket O2 sensors. So there's like 3 O2 sensors on each bank. I think 2 of them are for this Zeatronics system. one of the connectors is completely crushed and broken, but one of them is fine. And I ordered like a wideband gauge that they sell. It's like $100, but whatever. And it should connect right up to that connector as long as I keep all the wiring connected for powering it and connect all the grounds. Then it should at least give me like a good wideband reading of what the true AFRs are. And I won't be surprised if like the car thinks it's perfectly rich and the AFR is just gonna go like berserk, 20, 30 plus, whatever. Because those headers were glowing and it gets hot. The car warms up in like a minute, which is not normal. I usually shut it off right away because I don't want this thing to melt. I want this thing to rip. I'm probably gonna put it back up on jacks and take off the old O2 sensors. They also have, I know there's tricks that people do for O2s, and especially like cells and codes. People will put like these elbows or like kind of rounded off elbows off the exhaust. And so technically it'll help mitigate like codes when you do a cat delete. And so I'll see if I should keep those in there or just put them exactly in the full stream of the exhaust, because I kind of want it to read accurate O2. I don't want to be tricking any systems. Hopefully the tune that's on here is already set for cat delete and those codes should not come back. But if anything, it'll be easy to put the elbow back in the future. So much for a quick rip, right? And then back under the hood. I just want this thing to be done. I've spent a good number of hours on this already. You can tell why people sell these for cheap. They don't want to shop charging them for 5, 10 plus hours of labor. It gets into the thousands of dollars. But for me, it's fun. It's fun. As long as you try like everything and nothing works, you just get stumped. But I think we're close. As you saw, the car runs really good when it's happy and under wide open throttle. I didn't take it to redline, but it seemed to have more power towards redline. And I want the wideband because I want to keep an eye on things in wide open throttle. I've heard these cars need about an 11.8 mixture, which is pretty good. I mean, some of the BMWs I have, I think I see a mixture of 12 or right above 12. And they run fine, no knock. The Subis that I tune to about an 11.5 mixture, if not even richer, depending on the needs. Every car is different. Stay tuned. We're going to get her done. Another quick tip, if your car ever dies, if you have a Mercedes, and if the battery dies on you and you lock your keys, or let's say your trunk is closed and you can't get to the battery, there's a couple tricks on how to power the car and the circuits to open the trunk. The hood is pretty easy, especially if your door is open. But over here, there's this cover. You pop it off. You can throw a positive on there and you throw your negative on here. Don't use a trickle charger. Probably use like a 210 amp battery charger. Powers everything up and you can pop the trunk and then jumpstart off your battery back there. But it's nice to know that exists. I found another intake air leak culprit. I think this easily was why my idle was super high and the car could have been lean without much idle control from the throttle body. So there's that little throttle body in there. I cleaned it with throttle body cleaner. That sensor was in there and it was laying sideways. That hole was completely open. So I'm sure when I went even into boost yesterday, it wasn't giving me full power. I'm going to route that to a catch can and then from the catch can into there, because I took off that pipe and it's got a little bit of oil residue in it. It's a little bit oily. So easy $20 Amazon catch can fix. Not going to be blowing smoke out the back. Not going to be diluting your octane in your fuel. Your car's going to be more happy with you. I'm excited. I thought I'm going to have to pull off this charge pipe and yada yada, but more or less, I think that was my big issue. I've not even spotted that sensor until I pulled everything off again. Sweet. We'll get that plugged in and run it again. All right, we have some good news. Our temperature sensor has arrived pretty much overnight on Amazon. Thanks, Amazon. And so this is what it looks like. It has like these retainer prongs, and the one I had in there didn't have those. And so of course, any positive pressure, it was popping out and causing really erroneous running conditions. I also got Quickie oil catch can, literally 20 bucks. So this here is like the factory PCV. If you look in there, it's like actually oily. And so that was just going straight pipe into the inlet. You're sucking in all your oil. It's diluting your octane rating on your fuel. You pop this catch can here, route it in and out into there. You can have clean air. And then you just empty this guy, you know, every once in a blue moon. And so that is going to be easy install here. So here's the old sensor. Just going to pop it out. I left it in there so nothing gets in that hole. So you can see those prongs were completely broken off. Even if it was in there, I probably did one pull and it pushed it out. And then the car started running rough again. Let me install that and then kind of show you how I'm going to plumb this behind here, because my whole elaborate system here conflicts with that. I need to move it to this side. It's a little tight, but just got to be careful not to break the new sensor, and should be straightforward. The trick with these PCV hoses is using smart methods of zip tying so they don't come apart, because you can't see them under your throttle body. So I'm zip tying it up there, and then I'm going to kind of figure out a zip tie way to keep it inside of that three-way T. And then we're routing everything over there. All right, here we go, the plumbing. So from the T, snake it over there. And then of course, from the throttle body area, also snaking. So the catch cans come with this kind of like 2-3 foot of line. And I thought, I don't want to cut it for now. So I just placed it down in here. Should be okay. There's not much space to fit it in there, and I don't feel like cutting anything, so it'll work over there for now. Easy to take off the can to inspect for blow-by. Let's button up everything and maybe we'll start it up. It's getting late again. These late nights, I tell you. All right, everything is back and buttoned together again. Nice and sleek. Please don't idle high now that I've plugged all the leaky vacuum holes. I just want to go rip on this thing. Although today's been raining and it's dark out, I might give it a start just to see if it fixes its lean condition and the running. Okay, here goes something. So I'm going to keep an eye on the lambda sensors. I've left it in this position for a while for the throttle body to adjust. Please don't be crazy. It's going to be loud, but don't stay revving crazy high. It's not bad for a cold start. Let's observe our lambdas. Way quieter than before. Thank you. Thank you. Simplicity. Honestly, so far this car has been so much more simple to work on than Beamer W's, so to speak. So lambda sensor readings are coming in 0.85. So it's enriched at first, at cold start. Let's go look at the headers. I don't know if they're gonna be glowing red or not. They're not supposed to. They were before. And I think that's because we were getting way too much air. You might hear that small exhaust leak. Someone said that's extremely common for these aftermarket headers. I can hear it on this side. Maybe eventually I'll pull them off, get them re-welded, and then I'll titanium wrap them to help with all that stuff. This is way quieter, and this is how it should be. Yes. So happy, so grateful that it's just been a bunch of little things so far. All right, let's go for a quick spin. I will place my handy computer off to the side here. Just gonna maybe go through very smooth driving. And make sure that she's just happy putting again. And then if we get lucky and everything looks great. Oh yeah, this throttle now is so much more manageable. It used to be so twitchy. It used to be extremely twitchy. Now at least it just kind of cruises. Yeah, these coilovers are so clunky. I think someone didn't preload them correctly. It's the #1 rookie mistake. The rears are extremely clunky, and I had people install these BC Racing coilovers on Subarus, and I've had the same exact thing. So that doesn't scare me. It's just they're just clunky because, yeah, I'm gonna downshift. Now that I've plugged all the leaks, it looks like it's running a little rich, at least on the sensors here. But a little rich is honestly much safer than a little lean or too lean. And I think what we had before was definitely lean. I'm gonna close the Anyway, moonroof is acting up. I feel like my BMW did the same thing after I did the battery reset. These German cars are finicky with the battery resets. Normal driving, yeah, it's at 1 lambda, which is technically the desired air-fuel ratio for regular cruising. It's probably the first like normal driving that I've done in this car. So far, so good. I'm excited that she's not fidgety anymore, although she has all those mods. So technically, I presume the tune is good. Something that I'm thinking I could do, if it's gonna continually run a little bit rich, is I could always mix in a little E85 with the existing tune and it could be still safe. So that's my kind of thought process here. Downshift to third. Yeah, so clunky. Once we tighten it up, it's not going to be this clunky. It's just going to feel solid. Everything else feels solid so far, except for the clunky rears with the coilovers. Easy mistake on the coilovers. People just slap them in as they're shipped, but there's a requirement to set the preload. It's about the thickness of the spanner wrench. That way you don't get the bounciness and the clatter from the back. So I'm cruising here in 5th gear, and it looks to be at 1.25 lambda, which seems kind of a little bit lean, but then as soon as I give it like any throttle, it goes back to 1. So I presume it's just still figuring out its fuel trims and stuff. And it could be a little bit lean just because of the big throttle body. So it needs to figure itself out. If we get a check engine right, we will, or we could, for things like lean condition or whatever. What I'll have to do is do a little bit of a pull. Traction's on, so I'm not too scared about wiping out or anything, but I want to just get on it. It's almost like the communication was lost and it stopped telling me what it's got. Man, those diagnostic tools, I'm telling you. Let's flip a UE. Get some air in here. I'm gonna see how she's running at idle now. Still a little lean. We're gonna have to get back to the house. Sliding around a lot. The rear end feels like a flusy, like wobbly. I don't know if something's loose back there, or if they're missing like a sway bar, but way too clunky. This thing needs to hold it down a little bit more. It is a damp day though. I'm just gonna shut off that thing so it doesn't annoy me. Steering wheel feels nice. Try not to stray too far away from the house. It's a little bit bucky. So I've heard about people on the internet that have this thing where it changes gears on its own, and at every gear shift it kind of falls down on its face and then it picks back up. And they said usually people get this because of the bigger throttle bodies. I don't know if it's tunable. I don't know if it's... Some people said you can fix it. It's because the supercharger disengages and then engages again. Some people get a fixed pulley, and then kind of the issue goes away because the supercharger is always kind of pulling air, and you want to account for that, so to speak. Oh my goodness, she's just no traction. These tires are way too thin. 265s. You need like 295s in the back of this thing. That was like into third. Don't be such a flusy. Let's see if I can get you guys a pull in. After 3K is where it's at. It's wet out. I'm not gonna get far. It's pretty quiet under vacuum, like no throttle. It's only when you give it like up to quarter throttle. She wakes wakes up. Something smells a little bit burny, so I'm gonna jump in the garage right away and pop the hood and see what's going on there. That's such a hooligan. This thing is kind of a hooligan, to be honest. The tires are not bald, but it just feels like there's no grip. Quarter throttle on a turn, you're slipping. All right, let's see what's going on. Turn on first gear, putt into here. Let's pop the hood. Turn on this guy again. No, I have not installed our new O2 sensors yet. Definitely probably need those regardless. The headers look fine. There's just like a slight misfire, and I know this is common due to bad O2 sensors with these cars. I mean, you're running catless, and so if you have old O2 sensors, you should probably change those regularly. I could also check for cylinder roughness. Let's go do that. Ugh. Blip, 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 blip. Test, check smooth engine running. Yes. Oil level, kind of low. Oil temp is okay. Check engine while driving. There's not a crazy amount of stuff that you get to look at. Lambda control. Check electronic accelerator. Doesn't give you much control. I don't know why. Sensor adaptation. I just don't feel like she's running on all cylinders. She's got a little bit of a uppity up, and I want to know which cylinder it's doing that at. Mixture adaptation. Okay. Okay. That didn't give me anything. Let me try to get it to relearn the throttle body again. We'll see if it does that when I start it again. Whew, stinks in here so bad. It's not air. Does that stupid runaway idle thing again. This is so frustrating. Oh, we're gonna pick this up tomorrow. I've had enough for today.